Hey guys, welcome to this new video. We are building the A-10 C2 and also this is an amazing in-flight display stand with a hidden joint. I'm going to show you how to do this. Let's roll the credits. Okay, Academy kit. Pretty good option for A-10. I was really glad to see this kit come out. And of course, it's not the most expensive A-10 or kit out there, all in the market. I'm making a few modifications to build this aircraft in flight. They are really simple. There's nothing to it. And it's made much easier by the fact that Academy have included within the box the appropriate parts that allow you to pose the wheels up. So it's great. You will need to build up the interior landing gear bay for the forward fuselage. It's a structural component and all the parts lock together quite well. Really simple stuff. I'm going to sort of tell you now that this kit is a little bit quirky, but it's not bad at all. It's not a bad kit. It can definitely be built. If I can build it, you guys can build it. And I'm actually going to show you in this video the way I actually build the kit. I'm not editing it to sort of show you, nice layout of building sections and painting. This is the way that I really build the thing. So what I try to do is build up as much of everything as possible prior to painting. So starting off with the cockpit, first series of modifications are to remove all that lovely detail. And you guys know why. Anybody who's seen the review, we need a flat surface in order to stick down the QUINTA 3D decals. Once we've done that, we can move on with more assembly. This is the first modification. This is the nose landing gear bay door. I used 2 pieces. You don't need 2 pieces. 1 piece is supplied in the kit. You can use that. You can see the fuselage is made up of many parts, and also you'll find that you will need to sort of blend in these doors once you fit them. No biggie there, pretty easy to do. There's an option to pose the air brakes open if you really want to. I did not. Started off assembling the wings. Make sure you take the time to clean up your parts. Well, you guys know the drill by now, I'm quite sure. There's an option to pose the flaps down. I did not. I'm showing the aircraft in flight, flying along. It does not have its flaps drooped. I fitted them in at this stage. That gave me a little bit of a very tiny problem later on. The wing fit is pretty good. Nothing really to mention, but I just did have a very small issue. Very easy to tidy up. I'll show you that in a second. Use pressure when connecting the joins. That way you get an ooze of cement out. And also you have less seam work to deal with. Test fit your wings into the fuselage. Might be a bit tight, might be a bit loose. Learn how it fits. You want to get this join really well. If it all works out, you're going to get a really nice fit. I think I did need to do some fettling. Here you can sort of see that these nacelles, they need a little bit of work. Here they are. These are the supplied landing gear bay doors that just simply glue into place. That's the extent of the modification. It's really easy. It's like they wanted you to build it in flight, maybe. I don't know. Make sure you sand all your seams, etc. Take your time tidying up the model. You can get a much better result. Good finish. Test fit in the landing gear sort of nacelles, and I want to see the fit of the wheels because they stick out of the A-10, as you guys know. This is the empennage, as they call it, the vertical and horizontal stabs. You can't pose the control surfaces, and as you can see, I'm building up everything in modules. That's the way I chose to do it. Several times here on the parts that are slide molded, make sure that you pay attention to where the seams are from the mold. There still are mold seams. Tidy them up, and on the slide molded part there's lots and lots of detail, so that's why I opted to use a knife and just simply scrape it. I needed to find out the center of gravity of the aircraft when it's sort of mocked up like this, in order to know where the attachment point for the base will be. So that's what I'm doing now, just marking out the location just in order for test fitting. And once again, you know the drill. Tidy up the seams, get sanding, get polishing, make your build tight, nice. It's pretty easy. There's not really too much to it. In fact, this kit really hasn't even got that many parts once you build it in flight. And here you can see, why am I using a knife for the scraping? It's so that you do not destroy that lovely rivet detail that A-10 have rendered on their slide mold parts. And that worked out okay. That's all I'm going to say. Here's a tail cone. Again, this fit was all right. Dry fit, test fit. It'll help you out. Here's the engine nacelle, pods, whatever. They get glued together at this stage as well. So I'm getting more and more sub-assemblies together. And of course the nose cone, again, has that issue. A little bit of detailing here just for the sake of it, maybe. This is the APU exhaust. What I want to do here was give it some depth. So all I did was simply drill out that opening, and with a piece of plastic tube, which again was, I widened out the bore, simply glued it in position. A necessary mod? Not really, just what I wanted to do. And here we go. This is with the wings. I sort of had some small gaps there. I used plastic card to fill in those gaps, and the job was done, as they say. Here we go, attaching the wings finally. Like I said, I had no problem with the wings fit. And these, I don't know what you call them, over covering panels, they really help as well. They snap into position, really great fit. And it's kind of fortunate that there's not really that much to do. That's the basic modules completed. This is how I decided to build this model. My choice, and I'll tell you why later. So we can start painting the cockpit. So I chose this grey color, and laying down the paint using an airbrush inside the cockpit tub, the side sills, and then I tried using this local variant of NATO black. It didn't turn out to be NATO black, it's more like semi-gloss black for some components that were marked as black in the instructions and according to my references. There's that very nice HUD, another 3D part. 3D part? No, of course not. A slide molded part. Okay, let's attach on these QUINTA 3D decals. I use PVA, white glue, school glue, whatever you call it. That's what they suggest to use. Works out really well. You can slide the parts into position. You've got more time to work with them. And that's the way I've always used them. Again, the model is in flight. Are you going to see this detail? Well, you'll see in a minute how much you can see. Is it a gross waste of money? Yeah, probably is, but it's kind of fun as well, and that's probably why I like using those sets. Some of the components are super tiny in the 3D decal set, so super glue helps you here to get them in position quickly and secure them. PVA glue, really, they'll just flop around forever, get stuck to your tweezers, etc. Here is the fantastic REEDOAK pilot in resin. Amazing detail, real pleasure to paint. I painted the pilot up using the sort of greenish colors, green, olives, etc. The aircraft's going to be an Afghanistan aircraft. The flight suit really should have been a beige or a sand color, but hey ho, that's the way I wanted the pilot to look, and it's easier to paint as well, so that's the way I did that. Building him up in layers, there he goes, he's all painted, detailed. Final thing to do is add a little bit of gloss onto that visor section. And he's done. Very small amount of weathering on these cockpit components, the ejector seat, inside the cockpit itself, just adding a little bit of depth. These are really too deep in the aircraft to see, but yeah, add them. Bit of detailing on the HUD here. Stamped out a disc of gold tinsel to sort of add that reflector. Then we can start constructing together the cockpit module. And there you can see all those fantastic details. Super glued the pilot into position. You do not want him coming loose and rattling around once you've completed the build, of course, because you'll never be able to get him seated again. Now here goes, this is why this Academy kit's quirky. The front fuselage section's made up of about 4, 5, 6 parts. I'm not too sure, I lost count. You got left, right sections of floor plate and nose cone, the interior parts themselves. You've got lots and lots of joining surfaces. When you've got lots of joining surfaces, you're going to have issues with gaps and the parts not fitting correctly. I wish Academy had made this simple. They could have slide molded it, but obviously it saved costs. It's made out of all these components. You can see the nose cone, it's got a bit of a step. There's a few gaps, there's steps, there's the usual stuff to deal with. Maybe more than there should be, because why couldn't they just have a left and a right side? But who knows, anyways. Fortunately, this front section hasn't got all those rivets and bits and pieces on it, so we can just use the standard way of sanding, filling, sanding, buffing out, and then eventually you'll see me add in the panel lines. But it all works out. It doesn't look too bad in the end. It's sort of weird that they went all the trouble of the slide molded parts and you still need to deal with lots and lots of joints. Be careful with the front canopy. Yes, it is tinted clear yellow, but only on the left and right sides of the canopy. The very front section of that windscreen canopy is not tinted, or else they wouldn't be able to see the HUD, I think, because the HUD is green. I chose to glue the canopy and commit to sealing the canopy onto the aircraft at this stage, and it's going to be on there for all the duration of the paint. So to give myself a bit of security, I really want to make sure that a bond there between the front rear sections was well filled in using Mr. Dissolved putty, and there we go, restoring some of the panel lines that were lost during the sanding process. A little bit of re-riveting, etc. Nothing massive. There isn't really too much with this kit, but it ain't a Tamiya, as they say, you know. But it's a heck of a lot cheaper, you know. And I like it. There you can go. You can see quite a lot of that detail. Maybe not a waste of money. Well, not a waste of money entirely. Supplied masks, and these worked out great, especially because I couldn't get my hands on any masks where I live. And here we go, starting to seal in the canopy, overlay black. That'll give you like a see-through effect of having a black canopy frame on the inside. And of course also going to check the seams, check the sort of work that you've done. And let's start off with how we pose it in flight. This is a stand that you can use, whatever stand you can get. This one is designed to slot into the bottom of an aircraft in which you make a hole. I don't want to make a hole in my planes. I want my planes to be without holes, without tubes sticking out them. And this is what I came up with. So build up the stand, clipped off the top part that would snip in, and this is what we're going to use. These really super strong magnets. This is the whole secret to the thing. See how strong they are there in that example. And one will get placed in the middle of the aircraft at that point, which was the center of gravity. And I chose to use 2-part epoxy. I want this thing to be really, really well stuck on there. No risk of it rattling around inside the aircraft, and also onto the stand as well. I added on a small plastic washer as well. That's going to prevent any damage to the paint finish on the aircraft. when you attach it onto the magnetic base. You can see how that really slams on there. You'll be surprised how strong this thing is. You can easily hold the aircraft upside down, no danger of falling off. It works really well. With that done, we can complete more construction of the aircraft. So front section fuselage to that slide molded part. Again, a few sort of gaps. It didn't seem to line up perfectly well, to be honest. So again, a bit of seam filling. The usual drill. Nothing too complex. Nothing to complain about, certainly from my end. I was happy with this kit. Now, if you saw my review, I opted to get this set that replaces the turbofans and the exhaust nozzles, and it was really expensive, and this is where things went wrong for me, unfortunately. I've got to say that these are really nicely molded. The majority of the parts were easy to remove, as you can quite see, the usual thing with the razor saw, sanding them down and test fitting them. They mesh quite well with the plastic parts. And this didn't go right for me, unfortunately. These are the lovely compressor fans, and I think it's because I'm filming it, I lost these blades. The first one I did off camera, I took it off easily, no problems whatsoever. The second one, an entire disaster. That is the end of that wonderful detail. What I had to do was go back and, of course, use the kit parts. So I need to butcher them to mesh them with the resin parts. Why am I using the resin parts? They do correct the fit of the engines in the terms of the compressor fan being more recessed within those engine nacelles or pods or whatever. Okay, here we go. Mid-surface of black, primer, undercoat, call it what you will. A couple of reasons for doing this: checking the seams. Also, the aircraft's going to be grey. It's grey plastic. It's really difficult to paint grey plastic onto grey. This is the only metallics that are required. The face of the compressor fans, using some super metallics there. And now we can start laying on the first camouflage colour, which is light ghost grey, like all that US Air Force stuff and US Navy stuff. Here's the resin part of the inlet for the turbofans. A little bit of masking of that nose cone there. There you go, finished job there. And as you can see, I am spray painting or painting all the subcomponents separately. And that was because of the shape of this aircraft. It's a little bit of a unique shape, and some of you may know that you can get spray bouncing off of components and then you get a gritty surface. And also it's a little bit difficult to get around all those bits and pieces. So I just chose to build it and paint it as sub-assemblies. A little bit of detailing on those compressor fans. They need to be super glued onto the resin portions. And those are the resin exhaust outlets. Make sure you don't paint them metallics. They're not. They are grey like the aircraft, just more weathered. And here are camouflage scheme, and this is dark ghost grey. Initially, I painted dark ghost grey, and the contrast is just a little bit too much as compared to references. What I did, I went back and oversprayed that with light ghost grey. And then for the rest of the camo, what I did was mix 50-50 light and dark, and that seemed to be okay. This is the fake canopy underneath the aircraft, distinctive feature. A darker grey, dark compass grey or ghost grey, or another grey. Believe it or not, it's grey again. And I chose to fade this in a little bit. Here we can apply a gloss coat on top of the completed camouflage colours now. Again, all these subcomponents get treated the same way. It's water sticker time at last. And no name water stickers. I was concerned, are they going to be okay? Are they not? They worked out really good. No problem at all. They're thin. I used Tamiya Mark set. No problems with that whatsoever. They weren't cracking. They conform to the details. And these are the options that I chose for my aircraft. Shark's mouth decal, a must, of course. This is how they detail the flare buckets and shafts. They are water stickers as well. A little bit of correction on the shark's mouth there using some black paint. And then I sealed in the water stickers again with the gloss. At this point I fitted the, I think those are the speed brakes, just clip into place. Very simple weathering, panel line washing using a mixture of dark brown and black. I want a heavy contrast. I want the aircraft to look a bit grimy, as references indicated that these A-10s can be particularly filthy. And using the soft rag once the pin wash had settled into the recessed panel lines, and pull it out. Very simple, very easy. And even weathered the engine pods and the empennage separately as well. Why not? Very old school, boring weathering technique using Tamiya Smoke. Tamiya Smoke diluted, and all I'm doing is tracing over the panel lines again. And you can see sort of when I'm spraying here, you can't see anything because it takes about 2 or 3 passes to build up this effect. It's pretty subtle, old school way of doing things. I like the effect. It gives a more grimy type aircraft, and also it's really, really quick as well. I think I used a flat, I used flat varnish, didn't go for satin. I can start gluing on the sub-assemblies, starting with the engine pods, and I already test fitted them. I knew what they were going to fit. They don't fit exactly right, but they fit good enough for this model. A little bit of a correction here that needs to be done was a join here that needed to be filled, use super glue. And now we can assemble the weapons. I opted for some kit weapons, some Meng weapons. The Maverick missiles I chose to use from Meng. I think I just preferred to use them. But the supplied weapons, no problem at all with them whatsoever. Here's the adapter rail. Just test fitting them on. The A-10 launcher, a lightning pod, and 2 spare GBU laser guided bombs from a Tamiya kit. Another little bit of detailing I decided on was to use some telescoping brass tube in order to replace the pitot tube. Doing a little bit of detail painting here, choosing to spray in the white of the main landing gear. And again, light ghost grey is the colour of the day when it comes to the weapons, except for the lightning pod, which is another grey I can't remember. There's that lovely BRASIN part. There we go, massively filthy. A-10's been firing its gal. Brrrrrrrt. And I sort of went halfway on this. Yeah, you can go crazy weathering these, but I wanted halfway. So using oil paints, basically greys and blacks, and blending with thinner, pulling them back all the way along the length of the under fuselage, and then adding in spots of black, again blending them. Build them up in layers. You can go heavier, but I would suggest that you allow layers to dry before adding on further oils, etc. There you go, there's the effect. That's all I wanted. And now a little bit of detailing on the weapons, on the details. Oh yeah, water stickers as well on the weapons. Simple weathering. Is it weathering? It's more like basically highlighting the details, pin washing, using black this time to draw out the details. Didn't want the weapons to look particularly filthy. You want them at contrast, sometimes with the aircraft, sometimes not. Now we can put the wheels into their bays. I think I already mentioned they stick out proud of the aircraft. I left off all the aerials and bits and pieces just to ease construction, and those can be fitted on. They also got weathered with a little bit of oil paint. Pylons fit on great, no problems whatsoever there. They can be added on towards the end. I omitted the middle pylon because of the stand for the aircraft, of course. Start to assemble the weapons sub-assemblies. A little bit of detail painting. Fix on the weapons. And I think we are done, except for the piece de la resistance, that Gal 30mm. And that concludes our build. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and see you on the next one.